Okay, awesome. I think this is the clicker. Cool. Let's see if it works. Oh, did I do it? Okay, cool. All right, cool. Hey everyone, last talk or second to last talk of the day. Thanks for sticking around. I'm sure you're probably a bit tired after the long week. I was gonna do an announcement today, but unfortunately I'm not able to do that because the prerequisite for the announcement wasn't finalized. So I'm just gonna give a quick talk about Bitcoin L2s because they're a hot topic. And the title of the talk, it's gonna be like 5 minutes, is Bitcoin Isn't Special. Who disagrees with that? Who thinks Bitcoin is special? Okay, we got some people who think Bitcoin's special. Okay, cool, some more, cool. Well, I don't think so, because when we're like confused about that statement, we have to look at like the current state of Bitcoin L2s. So Bitcoin L2s, to be a Bitcoin L2 traditionally, you have to satisfy some data availability requirement, ensuring that Bitcoin full nodes can store the data of the chain. Most of the L2s aren't doing that today. They're using things like Polygon or Celestia. They're using custodial or multi-sig Bitcoin two-way pegs or bridges. So they're trusting a consensus mechanism or some federated group of signers with the custody of the Bitcoin. All the block production in all the L2s is centralized or federated. So instead of building layers of Bitcoin, we are building layers of trust assumptions. And I think calling these things L2s is incorrect. They're not L2s, they're sidechains, because we are not enabling something called unilateral exit, which means if I enter the L2, I can take my funds out. So when we look at these lists, right, like we see this list and we see other ones and we see things like rollups and side chains and we're calling them L2s, I think all of the terminology behind this is incorrect. And the reason is because we have someone like Alice. And Alice is really, really happy because she has this cool thing called Bitcoin. And then she hears about this bridge. And she's like, I'm gonna put my Bitcoin in this bridge because I wanna go over to this blockchain Ethereum land and I wanna do cool things with my Bitcoin, like buy NFTs or use DeFi apps or whatever. And she's really stoked because it's called an L2 and she thought it inherited the security of Bitcoin. But then that's not true, is it? The bridge got rugged, she got hacked, and then she lost all of her Bitcoin. So now Alice is really sad because she went on Twitter and she saw this thing called an L2 that's not an L2. So these things are real. Bitcoin's real, Ethereum's real, Ethereum sidechains are real, or EVM sidechains are real. But this picture right now, in the current state, in I don't know, today is May 11th, 2024, something like that. This is not real. This does not exist, and teams are working to improve this, but there's a long road ahead before we can get to a state where we have trustless or trust minimized bridging. But we're like, this is fine, this is great. No, it's fine, because we have all this new exciting activity on Bitcoin. But remember, guys, Bitcoin isn't special. Because when we're thinking about scaling Bitcoin, we can't look at other ecosystems like Ethereum or other blockchains who have had this L2 scaling roadmap and completely ignore it. Because we have definitions for L2s. We know what rollups are. We know what it means to inherit the security of the base layer. So what I mean by Bitcoin isn't special is that we need to look at scaling together and figure out the best way to build a credible path forward for Bitcoin L2s. So if you're building in the space and you're thinking about how we can get better Bitcoin scaling protocols, we need to look at things like collaborative research. So researching about new bridge models and researching about new sidechain designs or roll-up designs and different things like sequencing layers and data availability layers, all these fancy words that we have to figure out in the next year or so. I think every chain should be clearly outlining the trust assumptions associated with the protocol. We should open source all of our code and make it easy to find, because I look at these things every day and it is not easy to find anywhere. And we all need to get together and advocate for an improved scaling roadmap for Bitcoin. Because in the current state, we have different proposals, we have different ways that we can think about scaling Bitcoin, but everyone is in disagreement, we're arguing, and we're not moving us forward as quickly as possible. Although things are getting better, and we do kind of see things like recursive covenants, for example, could be on the roadmap for the next year. So when we think about Bitcoin not being special, it's not special in the sense that we can't just shortcut our way to Bitcoin scaling. We can't build side chains with multi-sig bridges and call it decentralized finance, because in the end, we're just trusting custodial solutions and federated operators. So Bitcoin is special, it is an incredible asset, but to make sure that it scales properly, L2s need to be L2s, not things that call themselves L2s. So if you're interested in collaborative research or figuring out this model of like trying to tell users the trust assumptions related to these protocols, come find me after. I do this stuff every day, and yeah, that's my talk.
Okay, to wrap up everything, I would like to invite Polly, the co-founder of Scalable, to give us the closing speech.